Hello friends, welcome back to the Brilliancy Point. Today we are going to study one of the most important and beautiful short stories of class 12th Echoes, The Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. First of all, let us take a quick glance at the description of the author. Kate Chopin was born on 8 February 1850 and died on August 22, 1904. She was considered one of the first feministic authors of 20th century. Modern feminism is known to be born on her pages. And this story, The Story of an Hour, it is one of the most finely crafted feministic stories of Kate Chopin, and it was first published in 1894 under the title The Dream of an Hour. And then in 1895, the title was altered to The Story of an Hour. One important point to note about the author is that the relationship of the leading figure, that is the protagonist in the story, Mrs. Mallard, resembles Kate Chopin herself, because the circumstances and the incidents shown in the story somewhere are similar to Kate Chopin's own life. As it is mentioned that her husband met with an untimely death, and it was after the death of her husband that she began writing and became such a popular author. As the title itself is The Story of an Hour, so it very briefly explains that how the incidents taking place within an hour proves to be so life changing for the protagonist, and at the same time it awakes mixed emotions, and it awakes, so it shows a shift in the mood of the protagonist. And this is an open ended story, because there is no specific conclusion which we can draw, but we can learn a lot of things from this story. So please pay full attention to this story, and you will really enjoy this story if you will try to empathize with the protagonist in the story. With this, let us begin the story. Knowing that Mrs. Mallard was afflicted with a heart trouble, great care was taken to break to her as gently as possible the news of her husband's death. Since this story is just of 1 hour, just describes an hour, therefore the beginning of the story is very straightforward, and very straightforwardly we get to know the incident, the most important incident in Mrs. Mallard's, that is the protagonist's life. First of all, Mrs. Mallard is suffering from a heart disease, and there is an incident which has happened. The incident is that her husband is no more. And as we all know, we can understand, we can imagine that what happens when someone's husband is died, and it is not very easy. In fact, it is very difficult to convey to the wife this news that her husband has died. And it is important to note that when this story was written, it was written in 1894, and at that time the condition or the position of women in the society was very pathetic. As we all know that still the society that we live in is patriarchal, means there is male domination, and earlier this male domination was even more, and it was much higher. Women were just treated as a subject to men. They were not even treated as an independent soul, as an independent being. Talking about India, as far as I know, what used to happen with widows? They were even made to die 100 deaths before the actual death. What used to happen, once a woman's husband is died, the women were forced to shave their heads, and to wear just one white sari. They were entangled in one room and they were not allowed to come out of that room their whole life, which means that once husband had died, even the woman's life was considered to end. This was the case. And if this was the situation, can you just think, can you just imagine how difficult it would be to convey a wife that her husband had died? So it was a very terrible incident which has happened. So it was her sister Josephine who told her in broken sentences, veiled hints that revealed in half concealing. So, who is conveying this news to Mrs. Mallard? It is her sister Josephine. And why is her sister conveying this? One reason can be because her sister is herself a female, so it would be quite easy for her sister to understand Mrs. Mallard's pain and how she would be feeling after knowing this news. And so she is the one who is conveying the news to her. And even she is not able to convey very clearly and straightforwardly to her because this is a very means very depressing news. So she also conveyed the news in broken sentences and in just with the help of just slight hints. She could not say clearly that this is the case. Now, her husband's friend Richards was there too, near her. It was he who had been in the newspaper office when intelligence of the railroad disaster was received, with Brentley Mallard's name leading to the list of killed. So, the name of Mrs. Mallard's husband is Brentley Mallard. And what had happened? Brentley Mallard had died in the railroad disaster. And Richards, who was Brentley Mallard's friend, was the first person who received this news, who got to know this news that Brentley Mallard is no more. He had only taken the time to assure himself of its truth by a second telegram and had hastened to forestall any less careful, less tender friend in bearing the sad message. So, when this Richards came to know that Brentley Mallard had died, even he could not believe at once that this is the truth. So, for assuring himself, he sent a telegram to the railroad team to confirm whether this is the truth that Brentley Mallard has died. And then, with the help of telegram, he got this assurance that yes, this is the truth. And as soon as he got assured, he hastened to forestall any less careful, less tender friend. So, after having assured himself, उसने और वक्त नहीं लिया कि वो किसी दूसरे लेस केयरफुल यानी कोई ऐसे वैसे फ्रेंड को बताए कि ऐसा हुआ है वैसा हुआ है, बिकॉज ही न्यू that Mrs. Mallard is suffering from a heart trouble. So he cannot say anyone to कि भाई जा जाके बता दे कि ऐसा हुआ है, because great care has to be taken and it needs to be taken, because hearing that husband has died, if Mrs. Mallard hears that her husband has died, it is a very depressing news for her. And since she is a heart patient, probably she could not take this news very easily. She might get a shock and it might affect her health. So therefore, he himself went to the Mrs. Mallard's house and he asked his sister to break this news to her. She did not hear the story as many women have heard the same, with a paralyzed inability to accept its significance. Now, what does this line mean? See, I'll just give you an example. आपने बॉलीवुड मूवीज में देखा ही होगा, what happens is लेडी कैरेक्टर का अगर हस्बैंड की डेथ हो जाती है तो जब न्यूज बताई जाती है उनको, so how do women react? What is the general way in which women react? they don't accept the news at once. What they say, oh my god, ये नहीं हो सकता, ये नहीं हो सकता. They say like this, कि नहीं ये नहीं हो सकता. Means they are unable to accept this news because they know that भाई अगर हमारे हस्बैंड की डेथ हो गई तो हमारी जिंदगी कुछ नहीं है फिर आगे. But Mrs. Mallard did not react like this. She did not say that no, this cannot happen. She accepted the news at once. She accepted and she started crying and with sudden wild abandonment in her sister's arms. And then she started crying heavily in her sister's Josephine's arms. When the storm of grief had spent itself, she went away to her room alone. She would have no one follow her. And then, after some time, she calmed down. She went away to her room and she went to her room alone. There stood, facing the open window, a comfortable, roomy armchair. So, this is a very brief description of Mrs. Mallard's room. That there was an open window in the room, and exactly in front of the window, there was a armchair. And please underline the word a comfortable, roomy armchair, because this armchair is a very important symbol in the story. Into this she sank, pressed down by a physical exhaustion that haunted her body and seemed to reach into her soul. Now, this is a spiritual notion that this armchair made Mrs. Mallard feel very comfortable. And into this armchair, when she sat, and as she cried a lot, and also there was a physical exhaustion that was troubling her body. But as soon as she seats herself into this armchair, there is a shift in her mood, and that we will see in the upcoming part. So let us move forward. She could see in the open square before her house the tops of trees that were all aquiver with a new spring life. The delicious breath of rain was in the air. In the street below, a peddler was crying his wares. The notes of a distant song which someone was singing reached her faintly, and countless sparrows were twittering in the eaves. So, this is the description of the surrounding or of uh, the atmosphere, the nature that Mrs. Mallard could see through that window. What was the atmosphere in front of her house or outside her house? What was the atmosphere? And what was this atmosphere? If we look at this description, it seems so merry and so means so happy, and the tops of the trees were all aquiver with the new spring life. It was a spring season, and there was slightly raining, and so beautiful smell and an invigorating smell was there in the air. And then a peddler was crying his wares, and there was a beautiful song which was reaching to her ears faintly, and countless sparrows were also twittering in the eaves. So means there is a very beautiful atmosphere outside the house of Mrs. Mallard. And if you notice, then this description of the nature or of the surrounding of Mrs. Mallard is completely in contrast to Mrs. Mallard's internal feelings, what she is feeling from inside. Her husband has died, and she is crying. She is so engrossed in her grief. But this surrounding is completely ironical or in contrast to the to Mrs. Mallard's feelings or to Mrs. Mallard's circumstance or incident in life, situation in life. This is completely in contrast. And this description is again a symbol, and how it plays a very important role is very interesting to know, and that we will discover in the coming story. There were patches of blue sky showing here and there through the clouds that had met and piled one above the other in the west facing her window. Again, the sky is so blue, and the entire surrounding and the picture, the illustration that this nature, these elements of nature, they are presenting a very beautiful picture. She sat with her head thrown back upon the cushion of the chair, quite motionless, except when a sob came up into her throat and shook her, as a child who has cried itself to sleep continues to sob in its dream. This is a simile which is used here. As a child who has cried itself to sleep continues to sob in his dream. So this is a simile, means this is a comparison of Mrs. Mallard with a child. It happens we also might in our childhood might have sometimes cried, and when we cry and sleep, then even in our dreams also we cry. So similarly, Mrs. Mallard was just she closed her eyes and she was in another world. She was kind of dreaming, and in the middle of her dreaming, every now and then she was also feeling bad. So a sob was coming on her face, and that was the situation. She was young, with a fair, calm face, whose lines bespoke repression and even a certain strength. But now there was a fixed, dull stare in her eyes, whose gaze was fixed away off yonder on one of those patches of blue sky. It was not a glance of reflection, but rather indicated a suspension of intelligent thought. This paragraph is very important. Please mark it. This is a very brief description of Mrs. Mallard. She was young, means her husband had died in quite a young age, and she was quite fair and her face was calm. But the lines on her face, they bespoke, means they depicted some kind of repression, and this repression is repression in her marital life. But now there was a dull stare in her eyes, whose gaze was fixed away off yonder on one of those patches of blue sky. And suddenly she stopped crying, and very in a very dull manner and in a very emotionless manner, she just started staring at the blue sky, means at the nature that she could see through the window. She just started staring at it with no emotions. And it was not a glance of reflection, means she was not looking at the nature very uh, very in a very sad manner or gloomy manner, means from inside she was feeling sad, but while looking at the nature she was completely emotionless, means her stare, it did not reflect her sadness, but rather it was a very different kind of a slightly different feeling, means she was quite emotionless, and at the same time she was feeling that there was something coming to her, and she was waiting for it fearfully. She just started feeling a bit different. She felt as if this nature is influencing her. It is giving her a very different kind of feeling, means a feeling which did not support, or which was not in accordance with the incident or with the situation she was going through. Her husband had died, and she was feeling very sad from inside, but while looking at the nature, it was not giving her a sadness. It was giving her a different kind of feeling, and she was waiting for something. She thought that something is coming to her, something is appealing to her, something is telling her to not to cry and to feel something else. But what was it? She did not know. It was too subtle and elusive to name. But she felt it, creeping out of the sky, reaching towards her through the sounds, the scents, the color that filled the air. Just two paragraphs above, we saw the description of the nature of the air. So, this beautiful nature was a kind of tempting her or appealing to her that no, this is not a time to cry. Means, as we saw that the nature was so beautiful and it was so happy, so merrymaking. So it was appealing to her that she should also come and enjoy the beauty of the nature rather than just sitting and crying. Now her bosom rose and fell tumultuously. She was beginning to recognize this thing that was approaching to possess her, and she was striving to beat it back with her will, as powerless as her two white, slender hands would have been. Now, as we saw that a new kind of feeling was coming to her, and slowly she began to recognize this feeling. She began to recognize that what nature is appealing to her, and that she should not uh, cry this much. She should not feel so much sad about her husband's death. But at the same time, she was striving to beat it back with her will. Means she did not. Means she was willing also. She was willing to be happy. Obviously, every one of us wants to be happy. But then, why was she trying to resist this feeling? Because uh, because she was a sincere wife. As a wife, she knew that after her husband's death, she ought to cry. Because what do we generally expect from a woman? Here, one important point to note is the societal expectations from a wife. What does society expect from a wife? A society expects the woman to cry over her husband's death. And let us take our own example. If we see a woman whose husband has died, but she is not crying at all. In fact, she is happy. How would we feel? Uh, would we feel that the woman is a very nice person, and can we say that the woman was a very sincere wife, or she's a good person, she's a respected person? No, we will just feel that her husband had died and she is not crying, so she's not a good person, she's not a good wife. We'll just feel like this, right? So similarly, when this feeling of calmness and uh, happiness, a little happiness, it was coming to her, then she tried to resist, because she knew that as a wife it is not good to be to not be sad after husband's death. So therefore she was trying to resist it. But her willingness to resist the happiness, her willingness to resist what was coming to her, it was very powerless, and it was as powerless as her hands would have been. Now, why was this will powerless? Because as we know that everyone wants to be happy, and somewhere, as we saw here, that her lines bespoke repression. Means somewhere it may happen that she was not happy with her marital life, and she was being repressed, she was being oppressed by her husband, and therefore she somewhere wanted freedom from her husband. And since her husband has died, somewhere she has also received freedom in her life, and therefore there is a reason to be happy that she is now free. But she doesn't want to be happy, because she knows that as a wife she should not be happy upon her husband's death. So therefore her willingness uh, to be happy about freedom, it was powerless. When she abandoned herself a little, whispered word escaped her slightly parted lips. She said it over and over again: free, free, free. The vacant stare and the look of terror that had followed it went from her eyes. They stayed keen and bright. Her pulses beat fast, and the coursing blood warmed and relaxed every inch of her body. Now, slowly, this feeling of freedom, of liberty, this this feeling was possessing her more and more with the passage of time. It was becoming stronger and stronger, and at one point of time, she uh, she stopped resisting this feeling, and she completely uh, abandoned herself to this feeling. Means she completely started feeling free. She did not stop to ask if it were or were not a monstrous joy that held her. Now, monstrous joy. This is an oxymoron. Two opposite words are used together: monstrous and joy. Why this is a monstrous joy? Because somewhere she was feeling that as a wife, I should not be happy upon my husband's death. But at the same time, she was feeling joy. When she was feeling free, she was feeling a kind of joy. A clear and exalted perception enabled her to dismiss the suggestion as trivial. She knew that she would weep again when she saw the kind, tender hands folded in death, the face that had never looked safe, with love upon her, fixed and grey and dead. But she saw, beyond that bitter moment, a long procession of years to come that would belong to her absolutely. And she opened and spread her arms out to them in welcome. Now we can see a description of her marital life, that her it was not that her husband did not love her, but as we saw, this word repression is very important, which means that though his husband loved her, but sometimes his husband might be imposing his will upon Mrs. Mallard, and he was trying to uh, control Mrs. Mallard, saying that he loved her. He might be restricting Mrs. Mallard, and Mrs. Mallard was somewhere smothering in her marital life. Means she might somewhere was feeling suffocated. She was feeling smothering. Smother means suffocate. She was somewhere suffocating in her marital life because her husband was restricting her. So she also felt like whenever since her husband had died, so definitely whenever she will see that her husband is no more, he will she will see the dead body of her husband. Then at that time she will really feel bad, she will cry also. But then after a short period of time, when this her husband's death will become a past, and once she overcomes this period of time, then she will be absolutely free, right? Then all the years that we will live hence, she would be absolutely free. She will not have to look means just live for her husband. She will live for her own self rather than living for her husband. There would be no one to live for her during those coming years. She would live for herself. There would be no powerful will bending hers in that blind persistence with which men and women believe they have a right to impose a private will upon a fellow creature. This is again a very important line. Please underline this. There would be no powerful will bending hers in that blind persistence with which men and women believe they have a right to impose a private will upon a fellow creature. It means that it is actually describing marital life in general. That once, and actually please understand this fact that this story was written in 1895. So at that time it used to happen that once men and women are married, especially men, they would force their will upon the woman, and they will control their wife. And so she was and which means that somewhere Mrs. Mallard's husband also imposed his will upon her, and she was suffocating in that. And now that her husband is no more, there will be no one who will uh, impose restrictions on her. And yet she had loved him. Sometimes, often she had not. What did it matter? What could love, the unsolved mystery, count for in face of this possession of self-assertion, which she suddenly recognized as the strongest impulse of her being? Please underline this line. What could love, the unsolved mystery, count for her in the face of this possession of self-assertion? See, Mrs. Mallard sometimes loved her husband, but often she did not love. Means it is not that she completely did not love her husband. She did love her, but you just try to keep yourself in her shoes. Uh, Let us take an example, a very generalized and an example which we can relate with our life. Uh, Now, if our parents, if they control us, if they control us a lot, they put some restrictions on us that don't go here. If we want to go to a friend's house or a party, whatever, and our parents deny us, and in some families, grandparents also deny. Grandparents also control the children in the family, and in some cases, even the elder brother or sister may restrict the younger sibling. So in all these cases, if we are the one who is being restricted, अगर हम पे कोई हमारे पेरेंट्स है, हमारे ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स है, हमारा भाई बहन है, अगर रेस्ट्रिक्ट कर रहा है हमको, हाउ वुड वी फील? Though we know that that person, our parents, grandparents, our siblings, they love us. We know that they love us a lot. But then also, if they restrict us, many a times we don't like their restrictions. हमें नहीं अच्छा लगता ना यार, that why are they denying us and all that. So similarly, it is not that Brantley Mallard did not love Mrs. Mallard, but when he was controlling her, he was restricting her. Then somewhere, Mrs. Mallard felt that why is he controlling me? That and therefore she mentions here that does marriage of man and woman, does it mean that a fellow creature, that a man can impose all his wills upon her wife? Does this mean that? This is actually a question to the society. This is actually a question to the patriarchal mindset of the society. That does marriage mean that a man has got the right to impose his wills upon a woman? So this is a very important aspect of the story which we need to learn, and if we understand this, then I'm sure that you can write very good answers in your exams. So please try to relate it with your life, that how if someone is controlling you, then how would you feel? Because being free and being uncontrolled by anyone is an innate, is an inborn desire of every one of us. We don't like to be controlled or restricted by anyone in our life, no matter how much does he or she love us, but then also we don't like to be controlled. So similarly, similar is the case with Mrs. Mallard. Now Mrs. Mallard kept on whispering free body and soul free. She was feeling free, and she was somewhere whispering these words, free body, free soul. Means she was actually, feeling very free. Now Josephine was kneeling before the closed door with her lips to the keyhole, imploring the admission. Louis, open the door. I beg, open the door. You will make yourself ill. What are you doing, Louis? For heaven's sake, open the door. Now, this is also very important idea. See, whenever someone in such a depressing situation goes to his or her room alone, we have a kind of insecurity that that person might take a wrong step. Uh, he might try committing suicide or something like that. And in this case, Mrs. Mallard, moreover, was suffering from a heart disease. So it is a very natural concern that her sister Josephine was concerned about her life, her health, and therefore she started asking her that Louis open the door. Now, Louis is the name of the protagonist. Means Louis Mallard is the complete name of Mrs. Mallard. And an important aspect to understand here is that in the beginning of the story, and we have covered more than half of the story, and the name of the protagonist is revealed here at this point of time. This somewhere points to the, or it gives a hint that since Mrs. Mallard was a wife, she was only remembered or recognized by the society as a wife of Mrs. Mallard. Means, as I told you in the beginning, that after a woman is married, in that period of time, 1895, at that time, a woman's identity was subject to her husband's identity. So therefore, means the society and everyone knew her as Mrs. Mallard only. No one cared about her name, that she also has her own name, she also has her own identity. The society did not care about her own independent identity. And now that her husband has died, then we are at least getting to know that, oh, this lady has her own identity, she has her own name, Louise Mallard. So you should understand this feeling, that how was the position of woman at that point of time. Now Mrs. Mallard says, go away, I am not making myself ill. No, she was drinking in a very elixir of life through that open window. And literally, Mrs. Mallard was not making herself ill. And as we saw, she was actually uh, enjoying within her room. But no one else could understand it. That is what is the societal expectation. What do we expect from a widow? That and especially at that point of time, what we would expect is that since the woman's husband has died, so she has no life now. She, somewhere women, they lose the interest in living further, because they think that there is no reason for them to live. But this is not the right notion. This should not be the case. We call it as a discrimination, you know. And today we can see that there is gender equality, so which means that women also have an independent living. It is not that after their husband's death their life ends, no. And Mrs. Mallard realized this, and therefore she was drinking in a very elixir of life through that open window. Elixir means amrit. In Hindi, we call it amrit, means a magical drink. Means she was actually enjoying. She was enjoying as much in that 1 hour as she might have not enjoyed it in her entire marital life. मीन्स इतने सालों से मिसेस मैलर्ड ने इतना एंजॉय कभी नहीं किया होगा जितना उन्होंने एक उस 1 hour में एंजॉय किया, बिकॉज इन दैट 1 hour शी फेल्ट फ्री, completely free. Her fancy was running riot along those days ahead of her, spring days and summer days and all sorts of days that would be her own. She breathed a quick prayer that life might be long. It was only yesterday she had thought with a shudder that life might be long. Now she started a kind of planning for her future, that she will enjoy her life to the fullest and she will enjoy herself a lot. मतलब कल ही मिसेस मैलट सोच रही थी कि शी वॉज थिंकिंग विद अ शडर, मीन्स शी डिड नॉट वांटेड दैट हर लाइफ शुड बी लॉन्ग, मीन्स शी वॉज थिंकिंग लाइक यार मेरी लाइफ लंबी नहीं होनी चाहिए, बट टुडे शी इज थिंकिंग दैट हर लाइफ शुड बी लॉन्ग, मतलब मेरी लाइफ लंबी होनी चाहिए. व्हाई, व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? Freedom, because till yesterday she was not free because she was under the restrictions of her husband, but today her husband is no more, so she is absolutely free. So this is the importance of freedom. She arose at length and opened the door to her sister's importunities. There was a feverish triumph in her eyes, and she carried herself unwittingly like a goddess of victory. She clasped her sister's waist, and together they descended the stairs. Richard stood waiting for them at the bottom. Now, since her sister Josephine was shouting from outside that Louis, open the door, so somewhere Mrs. Mallard felt that Josephine is feeling concerned for her, and she's also feeling insecure that she might not take a wrong step. So therefore, she opened the door to assure her sister, and then together, both the sisters, they stepped down to the bottom of the house. And one important point here is please make a note of these words: feverish triumph, and earlier we saw monstrous joy. These words are very important. Please do mention these words in your answer, because these words are they are representing two faces of the life of a woman or life of a widow. As we know that there are two faces of every coin, so similarly मतलब एक मैरिड वुमेन के या फिर एक विडो वुमेन के दो फेसेस ऑफ लाइफ क्या हो सकता है? एक तो वो खुद चाहती है, जो मिसेस मैलड है वो खुद क्या चाहती है? शी वांट्स फ्रीडम. सो दिस इज अ ट्रायम्फ फॉर हर, right? This is a moment of joy for her because now she has got her freedom. But still, what does the society expect from her? Society तो ये expect करेगी ना that your husband had died, so you should cry and you should feel like your life has ended. So therefore there is use of such words in the story which are opposite to each other, which are oxymoron. So please use these words in your answer to make it more heightened one. Now this is the main twist of the story. Someone was opening the front door with a latchkey. It was Brantley Mallard. अरे भाई, Brantley Mallard, ये तो मर गया था ना? How did he is opening the door? Is it the beginning or the ending of the story? No, it is the ending of the story, and this person Brantley Mallard is actually not dead. He is alive, and he is a little travel stained and carrying his gripsack and umbrella, and he was far away from the scene of accident, and he did not even know there had been one. तो जैसा कि हमने पहले देखा था कि जो एक्सीडेंट था वो एक्चुअली रेल रोड एक्सीडेंट था, तो probably what can be the case here is that Brantley Mallard might have to go somewhere, उसको कहीं जाना होगा और उसने उस ट्रेन में उस रेल में जो है रिजर्वेशन लिया होगा, and he was supposed to board the train, but due to some reasons he would have missed the train. तो लोगों को क्या लगा, जो रेल रोड कमीशन है, what would they think that this person was supposed to be in the train, and probably after the accident no one could find him, his body and all, so people would have thought that this person is dead, but he was not actually dead, means he could not board the train and he was far away from the scene of accident. And he stood amazed at Josephine's piercing cry. Obviously, just imagine कि सीन क्या चल रहा होगा. सीन तो कुछ ऐसा ही होगा ना कि सबके मुंह उतरे हुए होंगे, सबके मुंह दुखी होंगे. मतलब बिफोर ब्रेंटली मैलर्ड एंटर्स क्या हो रहा था भाई, हो क्या रहा था? सबको यही लगा कि ब्रेंटली मैलर्ड इज डेड। तो सब एकदम दुख में ग्रस्त और एकदम बहुत ही सैड सीन चल रहा होगा। एंड ब्रेंटली मैलर्ड वुड डेफिनेटली बी अमेज्ड कि व्हाई आर दीज पीपल एक्टिंग लाइक so sad and all. And obviously Josephine was also thinking that Brantley Mallard is dead, but she suddenly saw him alive, so she gave a piercing cry. And Richard's quick motion to screen him from the view of his wife. And quickly Richard came between Brantley Mallard and Mrs. Mallard to prevent Mrs. Mallard to see her husband. And why did he do so? Because Mrs. Mallard was suffering from a heart disease. So, looking at her husband, who she thought might be dead, suddenly would definitely give her a shock, right? Let us imagine it ourselves, uh, that if there is a person whom we have supposed that is dead, and अगर वो suddenly हमारे सामने आ जाए तो कैसे लगेगा यार हमें? Obviously हम तो शॉक ही हो जाएंगे ना यार। हमें एक बार हम ये भी सोच सकते हैं कि यार ये कोई भूत भूत है क्या, ऐसा थोड़ी होता है। तो एक बहुत ही डर सा भी आ जाता है देख के, सडनली देख के। तो इसीलिए रिचार्ड्स ने कोशिश की कि वो नहीं देखने दे मिसेस मैलर्ड को, बट ही वॉज टू लेट बिकॉज मिसेस मैलर्ड, एज सुन एज शी took a view of Mrs. Brantley Mallard, she died. She got an attack. She got an heart attack and she died. And the doctors said that Mrs. Mallard had died of a heart disease of joy that kills. But this statement of doctor is completely ironical. It is completely contradictory because it was not the joy that killed Mrs. Mallard. And it's a very simple question. What do you think that Mrs. Mallard को कब खुशी मिली होगी? Do you think that looking at Brantley Mallard को देख के Mrs. Mallard को खुशी हुई होगी? Do you think? क्योंकि हमने देखा कि उस एक घंटे में मिसेस मैलर्ड ने कैसा फील किया। अब उस एक घंटे के लिए तो मिसेस मैलर्ड के दिमाग में यही था ना कि ब्रेंटली मैलर्ड इज नो मोर, एंड नोइंग दिस दैट ब्रेंटली मैलर्ड हैज डाइड, शी वाज सो हैप्पी, शी वाज सो जॉयस। तो आपको क्या लगता है वो ब्रेंटली मैलर्ड को जिंदा देख के खुश तो नहीं हुई होगी? ऑब्वियसली rather she would have felt grief struck. She would have felt so sad, so depressing. Obviously na, she would have thought that the dream, the beautiful dream of freedom that she had seen, that she had woven in that 1 hour, it cannot be a reality because Brantley Mallard is alive. So it was not the joy that actually killed her, it was rather the grief that her joy has been snatched away from her, her freedom has been snatched away from her, and this feeling actually killed her. So this doctor's statement is actually depicting the society's inability to understand a woman, to understand that what a woman actually wants. Because as we see all through the story, all the characters, even Josephine, who was herself a woman, Josephine खुद एक फीमेल थी, सिस्टर थी मिसेस मैलर्ड की, बट डिस्पाइट दैट शी कुड नॉट अंडरस्टैंड मिसेस मैलर्ड. See what she was thinking outside the room, that Louise Mallard might be making herself ill. She might be taking a wrong step. But Mrs. Mallard actually was drinking in a very elixir of life through that window. Means she was actually enjoying her life in that 1 hour. But Josephine did not get this point. She could not understand this. So all these incidents, this entire story actually is a sharp commentary, or is a slap on the face of the society, and it highlights the society's inability to understand a woman. जैसा कि मैंने बोला कि this is an open-ended story, so there are so many ideas highlighted in the story, and you can perceive the ending in so many different ways. But this society's inability, this is an important conclusion that we can draw. And besides this, there are certain other aspects also. Freedom is also a very important aspect in this story. Freedom, liberty, that what is the importance of freedom in one's life. We may not realize this very much because we are actually free in our lives. But if someday our freedom is curtailed by someone, then we would actually understand that what is the importance of freedom. So importance of freedom and oppression of women in marital life, all these are also the ideas that this story is conveying. And other than this, there is a strong use of imagery in the story. Some imageries which are important are, first is the armchair that I told you, that that armchair actually signifies the comfort zone of Mrs. Mallard. मतलब एक तरीके से ये चीज़ भी डायरेक्ट करती है वो कि शायद जब ब्रेंटली मैलर्ड थे तो मतलब वो रेस्ट्रिक्ट करते होंगे मिसेस मैलर्ड को, ऑल दैट, एंड प्रोबेबली शी कुड नॉट गेट द टाइम to understand herself. She could not get time for her own soul, for her own self. तो आज मतलब जब पता चला कि her husband is no more and she sat on that armchair, तो उसे मतलब अपने लिए टाइम मिला, उसने 1 घंटे में पूरा अपने लिए ही सोचा, राइट? तो वो आर्म चेयर एक तरीके से डेपिक्ट करती है कि मतलब मिसेस मैलर्ड का ओन सोल क्या चाहता है। और मिसेस मैलर्ड ने मतलब उस दिन जितना रिलीफ फील किया वो शायद वो कभी नहीं कर पाई होगी, उसको टाइम ही नहीं मिला होगा टू रियलाइज दिस ड्यू टू हर हेक्टिक मैरिटल शेड्यूल। तो मतलब आर्म चेयर एक तरीके से बहुत ही कंफर्ट और एक डिज़ायर रिप्रेजेंट करता है मिसेस मैलर्ड का। और अदर इमेजरी इज द डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ द नेचर दैट वी सॉ, the surrounding that Mrs. Mallard could see through the window. In the beginning only we saw, yeah, this. So this is also an imagery which somewhere depicts that what was her inner feeling after husband's death. And the two most important imagery in this story is, one is the window, open window, and second is the door with which Mr. Brantley Mallard enters. So what does the window signify? The window signifies the fantasy of Mrs. Mallard, the fantasy and the desire, and you know, the freedom of Mrs. Mallard, the freedom of a married woman. Whereas the door, the front door, it depicts the reality as well as the imprisonment of married woman, the imprisonment of Mrs. Mallard, and as well as imprisonment of a married woman. So these are some of the key points that you need to understand and you need to uh, include it in your answers to make it more attractive. So that's all. I wish and hope that you have understood this chapter and read it twice or thrice so that you can form your own ideas as well. And if you have any doubts, any queries, or if you want me to explain anything else related to this chapter, or you want me to explain any specific chapter, then you can comment me. And please, please, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe my channel